My life had always been one of quiet satisfaction. As a hardworking architect, I took pride in designing beautiful structures that would stand the test of time. Every morning, I would wake up to the same routine: a cup of coffee, a quick workout, and a kiss goodbye to my wife, Jennifer, before heading off to work. Our suburban home was our sanctuary, a place where we could escape the realities of the world and just be ourselves. We had built a comfortable life together, filled with love and laughter, or so I thought. I remember that fateful day like it was yesterday. The sun was setting as I pulled into our driveway after yet another grueling day at the office. My body ached from the stress of meeting deadlines, but I knew that once I crossed the threshold into our home, all of those worries would be left behind. Little did I know that my world was about to come crashing down. As I tossed my keys onto the countertop, I noticed Jennifer's laptop open on the kitchen table. It wasn't unusual for her to leave it there, but something caught my eye: an email notification on the screen. My curiosity got the better of me, and I found myself scrolling through a secret account she had created. My heart raced as I read each explicit message, the betrayal sinking its teeth deeper into my chest with every word. Jennifer had been having an affair with Derek, a coworker of hers. They had exchanged intimate details of their lives, shared inside jokes, and even made plans to meet up. The pain that coursed through me in that moment was unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. My breath hitched in my throat, and tears blurred my vision as I tried to make sense of it all. How could she do this to me? To us? My mind raced, consumed by the hurt and anger that brewed within me. I wanted revenge not only on Jennifer but also on Derek. I needed them to feel the same crushing pain that had settled like a weight upon my chest. And so, as I sat there in our kitchen, the walls of our once happy home closing in around me, I decided that I would stop at nothing to make them pay for their betrayal. Only through revenge would I find solace in the chaos of my shattered life. And so, with ice-cold determination coursing through my veins, I began to plan. Jennifer and Derek would soon learn that they had made a grave mistake in crossing me, and I would ensure that they faced the consequences of their actions. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My heart felt like it had been ripped from my chest, and anger burned inside me. Jennifer, my wife, the woman I thought I knew, had betrayed me with Derek, her coworker. The emails between them were right in front of me, a secret account they must have thought was clever. It wasn't. As I sat there, staring at the screen, I made up my mind. Revenge was the only option. They would pay for what they'd done to me, to us. But I couldn't do this alone. I needed help. Someone who understood the pain I was feeling, someone who had also been wronged. A name came to mind: Sarah. She was a close friend, someone who had experienced betrayal firsthand, just like me. Her ex-husband had cheated on her, and she had been through hell trying to piece her life back together. Sarah would understand why I needed revenge, and she might even want to help. Reaching out to her, my hands trembling as I typed, I asked for her help. With each word I sent, the determination inside me grew stronger. This was the right thing to do. Together, Sarah and I would make sure that Jennifer and Derek paid for their betrayal. Following Sarah's agreement to help, we decided to meet in a secluded location. It was an abandoned house at the edge of town, far away from prying eyes. The place had a chilling vibe that matched the coldness brewing within me. We ensured privacy and secrecy as we discussed our strategy. As I walked through the creaking door, I saw Sarah already there, anxiously waiting. Her face showed determination, a reflection of the pain she too had endured. We exchanged a quick nod and got right to business. Sarah, I found these. I pulled out my phone and showed her the explicit messages between Jennifer and Derek that I had discovered. These were hidden in their secret email account. They planned to meet up, have secret rendezvous, all while deceiving us. I could see the anger building in her eyes as she scrolled through the messages. My jaw clenched as I remembered the pain of finding them for the first time. A mix of sadness and fury filled the small room. "Michael, this is beyond disgusting," Sarah said, her voice shaking with emotion. "We can't let them get away with this." "Agreed." My voice was firm, resolute. "We need to expose them. We need to make sure everyone knows what they've done. Let's make a plan." Sarah's voice had a steely determination that fueled my own resolve. Together, we began brainstorming ideas on how to best bring Jennifer and Derek's betrayal to light. As we stood in that abandoned house, our shared pain and desire for revenge uniting us, I knew that nothing would ever be the same again. But one thing was certain: we would fight back against the lies and deceit that had shattered our worlds. The sun was setting, casting an orange glow on the city's skyline as I stood on the rooftop with Sarah. We had chosen this location to brainstorm ideas for exposing Jennifer and Derek at the upcoming work event. The wind whipped around us, a physical reminder of the storm brewing inside me. I paced back and forth, my mind racing with thoughts of how to reveal their treachery. Sarah stood silently, her eyes fixed on the horizon, deep in thought. The tension between us was thick, our desire for justice palpable. "Okay," I finally said, breaking the silence. "We need to make sure we're not discovered before the event. We can't give them any reason to suspect what's coming." Sarah nodded in agreement, her face etched with determination. Together, we began laying out possible scenarios, each one more daring than the last. We considered the potential consequences and the impact on our lives, weighing the risks against the satisfaction of seeing Jennifer and Derek exposed for who they truly were. As the sky darkened, I knew it was time to gather evidence to support my claims. I spent countless hours scoring their secret email account, piecing together the extent of their betrayal. It sickened me to discover that their affair had been going on for 6 months, hidden behind a veil of lies and deceit. My hands shook as I compiled the messages, photos, and other incriminating evidence, the weight of their betrayal pressing heavily on my chest. Each new discovery fueled my anger and strengthened my resolve to expose them. And yet, even as I gathered the evidence, a small part of me grieved for the love and trust that had been lost. As the day of the event drew closer, Sarah and I continued to refine our plan, ensuring every detail was perfect. Our conversations were filled with anticipation and anxiety, knowing that soon our lives would be forever changed. But despite the turmoil, I found solace in our shared determination to seek justice. Together, we would face the storm, united by a common purpose: to expose the lies and betrayal that had shattered our worlds. I sat at my computer, the screen casting a cold light on my face as I dug deeper into Jennifer and Derek's deceit. My heart raced when I uncovered details about a secret romantic getaway they had taken. Pictures of them together, smiling and carefree, felt like a knife twisting in my gut. I saved every piece of evidence, determined to make them answer for their betrayal. Sarah arrived at my place, her eyes filled with determination. We sat down, the evidence spread out before us like puzzle pieces waiting to be assembled. Our focus was unwavering as we began to create a timeline of events, retracing the steps of Jennifer and Derek's affair. "Here, look at this," I said, pointing to a crucial piece of evidence that would strengthen our case. Sarah nodded, her expression both shocked and disgusted by what she saw. "Unbelievable," she muttered, her voice trembling with anger. "We need to make sure everything is perfect. They can't get away with this." As we continued to work through the night, our minds racing with thoughts of revenge, I couldn't help but feel a sense of camaraderie with Sarah. In our shared pain, we found strength and resilience, vowing to end the lies and deception once and for all. The timeline grew longer and more detailed, each event a testament to Jennifer and Derek's duplicity. With every new piece of information, our resolve solidified, and I knew we were ready to expose them for who they truly were. Everything needs to go exactly as planned, I thought, my heart pounding with anticipation. There's no room for mistakes. Their secret will be revealed, and justice will finally be served. Later on, the realization that my plans had been leaked to Jennifer hit me like a ton of bricks. My heart raced and my stomach churned as I thought about the implications of this betrayal. The shock and devastation consumed me, leaving me feeling hollow inside. As the initial shock began to subside, a fire ignited within me. Anger coursed through my veins, fueling my determination to continue with my revenge plan despite this setback. I clenched my fists as I vowed to myself that I would not let this deter me from exposing Jennifer and Derek's affair. The air between us felt heavy and suffocating as Jennifer stepped into the room, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and defiance. It was as if an invisible wall had been erected between us, creating an impenetrable barrier that only served to heighten the tension in the room. I could feel my pulse quickening, my breaths becoming shallow as I prepared myself for the inevitable confrontation. Jennifer's body language spoke volumes. Her arms were crossed defensively over her chest, her jaw clenched tightly as she struggled to maintain control over her emotions. The atmosphere in the room seemed charged, as if one wrong move on either of our parts would unleash a storm of anger and accusations. As we faced each other, it became clear that neither of us was willing to back down. I stood tall, my resolve unwavering despite the turmoil raging within me. This was not a battle I was willing to lose. The truth about Jennifer and Derek's affair needed to be exposed, no matter the cost. My determination was evident in the set of my shoulders and the intensity of my gaze, a silent challenge to her attempts at intimidation. In that moment, the distance between us seemed insurmountable, each of us locked in our own personal struggle for power and vindication. As the seconds ticked by, the tension between us continued to mount, the sense of unease growing stronger with every passing moment. And yet, I knew I couldn't give in. The stakes were too high, and my need for justice too great. All I could do was hold my ground and brace myself for the battle that was about to ensue. Time was running out. I scrambled through endless text messages, emails, and photos, my heart pounding in my chest as I searched for irrefutable evidence of Jennifer and Derek's affair. The upcoming event loomed over me like a dark cloud, filling me with a sense of urgency that drove me relentlessly forward. The weight of betrayal and the pressure to act threatened to consume me, but there was no time to dwell on these emotions. My hands shook as I scrolled through their digital lives, sifting through the lies and deception in search of the truth. "Hey," Sarah said softly, sitting down next to me. She looked at me with concern etched on her face, her eyes filled with empathy. "How are you holding up?" "Terrible," I admitted, taking a moment to glance at her before returning to my frantic search. I can't believe it, Sarah. And now I have to prove it to everyone." Sarah's hand found mine, giving it a gentle squeeze. "You're not alone in this, okay? I'm here for you." "Thank you, Sarah," I whispered, feeling a glimmer of gratitude amid the storm of emotions raging inside me. Her support was invaluable during this difficult time, a lifeline to keep me from drowning in despair. "Let me help you," she offered, pulling her laptop closer. We sat side by side, searching together for anything that would confirm my suspicions and expose the cheaters for who they were. "Look at this," I muttered, pointing at a photo of Jennifer and Derek, looking far too close for comfort. "This could be something, right?" "Maybe," Sarah replied, scrutinizing the image. "But we need more, something concrete. Keep going." My fingers flew across the keyboard, fueled by anger and determination. As the hours slipped away and the deadline drew nearer, Sarah remained by my side, offering her unwavering support and encouragement. With each new piece of evidence we discovered, our resolve grew stronger, a united front against the deceit that had shattered my world. "Here," Sarah whispered, her eyes wide as she pointed at an incriminating email. "This is it. This is what you need." As I read the damning words on the screen, a feeling of cold satisfaction began to settle in my chest. They would soon face the consequences of their actions, and I was more than ready to see them pay for their betrayal. As I walked into the crowded room, the air was thick with the scent of expensive perfume and the constant hum of conversation. My hands were clammy, and my heartbeat quickened as thoughts ran wild in my head. What if they laughed at me? What if she denied everything? What if Derek decided to confront me physically? But amidst all these doubts, a steely determination surged through me. Today was the day I would finally confront the two people who had betrayed me so deeply. I scanned the room for Jennifer and Derek, my eyes darting past familiar faces that greeted me with warm smiles and polite nods. It took me a moment to spot them. There they were, standing near the open bar, their heads bent together as if sharing a secret. Their laughter danced in the air, piercing straight through my heart. I clenched my fists, trying to contain the anger brewing inside me. "Hey, Michael." A voice called out, snapping me out of my thoughts. It was Greg, one of my oldest friends from the company. You okay, man? You seem a bit tense. Yeah, I replied, forcing a smile. Just nervous about tonight, you know. Big night for us all. I tried to sound nonchalant, but I could feel the weight of the evidence I had collected against them pressing down on me. You'll be fine, Greg assured me, patting me on the back. I've got your back, buddy. Thanks, Greg, I said, grateful for his support, but knowing that this was a battle I had to face alone. With my heart pounding in my chest like a caged animal, I started making my way towards Jennifer and Derek, weaving in and out of the crowd. As I drew closer, the reality of what I was about to do began to set in, and my resolve wavered. Was this really the right thing to do? Should I just confront them privately and try to work things out? But as I saw Jennifer, my beautiful wife of 10 years, lean in closer to Derek, a man I had considered a friend, and touch his arm with that same familiar intimacy she once reserved only for me, something inside me snapped. No, there was no going back now. They would pay for their betrayal, and everyone in this room would know the truth. Taking a deep breath, I felt the unsteady rhythm of my heart echoing in my chest. My fingers tightened around the manila envelope containing the evidence of their betrayal, an affair that had been going on right under my nose for months. Anger and determination coursed through me as I approached them, their laughter grating on my nerves like nails on a chalkboard. Jennifer Derek, I said, my voice a calm facade over the storm of emotions churning within me. Michael, Jennifer exclaimed, her eyes wide with surprise. What are you doing here? I thought you were staying home tonight. Change of plans, I replied curtly. Derek shifted uncomfortably, his eyes darting between me and Jennifer. Good, let him squirm. Is everything okay? Jennifer asked hesitantly, her eyes narrowing in suspicion. Actually, no, it's not. With that, I opened the envelope and pulled out the stack of incriminating photos, emails, and text messages I had collected over the past few weeks. Here, take a look at these, I said, spreading the papers out before them like a poker player laying down a winning hand. Their eyes scanned the evidence, and I watched their expressions change from confusion to shock and horror. Michael, how did you? Jennifer stammered, but I cut her off. Save it, Jennifer. I've known about your little secret for weeks now. I spat, my anger barely contained. Do you have any idea how humiliating it is to find out your wife has been cheating on you with one of your closest friends? Wait, Michael, let's just talk this through, Derek interjected, his face flushed with guilt. His hands clenched into fists, betraying his own internal struggle. Talk? What's there to talk about? You both betrayed me. And now, everyone here will know exactly who you really are. Jennifer's face drained of color as the reality of what I had discovered finally sunk in. Her eyes, once filled with a spark of defiance, now revealed a growing fear that I wasn't going to let this go. Michael, I don't know what to say, she whispered, her voice barely audible. Save it, I growled, my hands trembling with the effort it took to control my rage. I've heard enough lies from you. Derek, clearly trying to maintain some semblance of composure, shook his head as if to dismiss the evidence. This is ridiculous, Michael. You're overreacting. Nothing happened between me and Jennifer. Overreacting. I seethed, feeling the anger bubble inside me like a volcano on the verge of eruption. You dare to stand there and lie to my face. Michael, please, just listen. Jennifer implored, reaching out to touch my arm, but I recoiled from her touch as if it were poison. Enough, I snarled, grabbing a photo from the pile, one that showed them kissing passionately in a dimly lit bar. I thrust it into Derek's face. How may you explain this, then? Is this just another one of your friendly outings? Swallowing hard, Derek stared at the photo for a moment before his gaze dropped to the floor. The silence was deafening, punctuated only by the pounding of my heart and the rapid rise and fall of my chest. Thought so, I sneered, tossing the photo back onto the table. You can't even look me in the eye and deny it anymore. The tension in the room felt like a tightly coiled spring ready to snap at any moment. I could feel the heat rising in my face as I stared Derek down, waiting for him to break. Fine, Derek finally choked out, his voice barely more than a whisper. I can't. I can't deny it anymore. I'm sorry, Michael. His eyes were filled with guilt, and for a moment I thought I saw genuine remorse dancing behind them. Sorry, my voice cracked with emotion as rage pulsed through me. You think that's enough? Around us, the room had fallen into an uncomfortable silence. Our colleagues, who had been mingling and chatting amongst themselves, were now fixated on our heated confrontation. The clinking of glasses ceased, replaced by hushed whispers that seemed to echo off the walls. Derek shifted uncomfortably under the weight of everyone's gaze. What do you want me to say, Michael? I messed up. It was a mistake, and it shouldn't have happened, but it did. I clenched my fists, feeling the cold metal of my wedding ring biting into my palm. How dare he stand there, admitting his betrayal, yet trying to downplay the gravity of his actions? My mind raced, my thoughts a maelstrom of anger, hurt, and confusion. This man was not only my coworker, but also my supposed friend. Had all those years of friendship meant nothing to him? Your mistake destroyed my life, Derek. My voice trembled, dangerously close to breaking. And you just stood there, watching it happen, all the while pretending to be my friend. Michael. Jennifer's voice was small, pleading. She reached out to me, her hand shaking, but I couldn't bear to look at her. The woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew, had betrayed me in the most intimate way possible. Stay out of this, Jennifer, I warned, my voice cold and sharp as ice. You've done enough. The room remained silent, the air thick with tension and unspoken words. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself, knowing that this was only the beginning of the long road ahead. But one thing was clear. Nothing would ever be the same again. My jaw tightened, and my piercing gaze shifted from Derek to Jennifer. The woman I had loved with every fiber of my being, the woman I had shared countless smiles and laughter with, now stood before me as a stranger. My heart threatened to shatter within my chest. Jennifer, I whispered, barely able to get her name past the lump in my throat. How could you do this to me, to us? She bit her lip, tears welling up in her eyes. Michael, I never meant for any of this to happen. It just got out of control. Out of control? I spat, the words like venom on my tongue. You call sleeping with our coworker and friend out of control. Please, Michael, she begged, reaching out towards me. I recoiled from her touch, my skin crawling at the thought of her hands on me. I made a mistake. We can move past this. Move past this. My voice cracked, the anger and pain boiling over inside me. I couldn't help but scoff at her naive attempt to defend herself. Do you even realize what you've done, what you've thrown away? Michael, I'm so sorry. I really am. Her voice was quivering, and her eyes were red-rimmed with unshed tears. But those words held no comfort for me. They were hollow, empty, meaningless. Sorry doesn't change anything, Jennifer, I said, my voice low and dangerous. It doesn't erase the fact that you betrayed me, that you lied to me day after day while you continued your affair with him. Michael, please. She cut herself off, choking back a sob. It was clear that she was struggling to find the right words, to somehow make sense of the chaos that had engulfed our lives. But there was no redemption for her in my eyes, not now. Save your excuses, Jennifer, I snapped, cutting her off. Nothing you say can change what you've done. Our once happy home, the memories we shared, everything we had built together, it all crumbled away beneath the weight of her betrayal. And as I stood there, staring into the tear-filled eyes of the woman who had broken my heart, I knew that our love was beyond repair. It was the day of reckoning. The sun seemed to glare down, as if it knew what I was about to do. My hands trembled slightly as I held onto the divorce papers, the weight of the decision bearing down on me. I could not believe that this was happening, that Jennifer had betrayed me so utterly. Rage and bitterness coursed through my veins like poison, making every step towards the courthouse feel like a battle. As I entered the cold, sterile building, my heart pounded in my chest. It felt like everyone inside could read the hurt and anger etched into my face, but they didn't matter. None of them knew the pain I endured or the humiliation I suffered. I stood before the clerk, the finality of the situation settling deep within me. With a shaky hand, I handed over the divorce papers, and with that simple act, the life I thought I'd built with Jennifer crumbled away. The clerk's mechanical movements were oddly comforting, the predictability grounding me in the midst of the chaos swirling around me. But I found solace in Sarah's presence. She was there for me throughout the ordeal, offering support and understanding when it felt like the world had turned its back on me. She didn't judge me for my feelings of vengeance or my inability to forgive. Her warmth and kindness acted like a balm to my wounded soul, allowing me to find peace amid the storm. In the days that followed, I began to pick up the pieces of my shattered life. The process was slow and painful, but necessary if I wanted to move on from Jennifer's betrayal. Each day, I focused on finding some semblance of normalcy, trying to establish new routines and habits without her. Sarah remained by my side, a beacon of hope and light in the darkness. We grew closer with each passing day, our connection deepening as we supported each other through the aftermath of my divorce. The anger and bitterness that had consumed me began to ebb away, replaced by a newfound sense of hope and possibility. I started to take on new hobbies and interests, seeking to expand my horizons and find meaning beyond the confines of my failed marriage. I discovered a passion for painting, the colors and textures, offering a way to express the emotions that words could not capture. Sarah encouraged my growth, her unwavering support allowing me to believe in myself once more. The world around me seemed to change too, as if it was adapting to my newfound optimism. Sunsets became more vivid, the hues of orange and red like a promise of brighter days ahead. The sound of laughter rang out louder, reminding me that joy was still achievable even after heartbreak. As time passed, it became increasingly clear that life could go on after betrayal. My relationship with Sarah blossomed into something beautiful and unexpected, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Our love story was not without its challenges, but together we faced them head-on, stronger for having weathered the storm. In those moments where doubt and despair threatened to take hold, I looked back on the journey I'd taken. I had survived the darkest days of my life, emerging from the ashes of my marriage with renewed purpose and resolve. It was a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable pain, there was still hope for redemption and healing. The final note of this chapter in my life was one of hope. Hope that despite the pain, sorrow, and anger, there was still a chance for happiness. That life could go on after betrayal and heartbreak, and that perhaps the most beautiful stories were born from the ashes of tragedy. The day I filed for divorce was cold and bleak. Gray clouds hung heavily in the sky, mirroring my heavy heart. Clutching the documents in my hand, I felt a mixture of sadness and anger brewing within me. In that moment, I knew my life would never be the same. As I walked down the courthouse steps, I spotted Sarah waiting for me. Her presence was like a beacon of hope in the midst of my storm. As we walked side by side, our hands intertwined, I couldn't help but feel grateful for her support throughout this ordeal. Actions that spoke louder than any words could convey. Back at home, I found myself sorting through memories of Jennifer and me, the happy moments now tainted with betrayal. I grabbed a box, filling it with items that reminded me of her, photographs, gifts, even the shirt she always wore to bed. Each item fueled my anger, as if my heart was a raging fire consuming everything in its path. Sarah knocked on the door, breaking me from my reverie. "How are you holding up?" she asked, her eyes filled with concern. Angry, I admitted, but also relieved. "Good," she replied. "You deserve better, Michael." Our conversations became my lifeline, helping me navigate the emotional turmoil threatening to consume me. She understood my pain, my need for vengeance, and yet she encouraged me to let go of the past and focus on rebuilding my life. In the following weeks, I threw myself into new activities, trying to fill the void left by Jennifer's betrayal. I joined a local gym, rediscovering my love for sports and the adrenaline rush that came with physical exertion. It was an outlet for my anger, a way to channel those negative emotions into something positive. Sarah was there every step of the way, cheering me on from the sidelines or joining me in my newfound hobbies. Her unwavering support became the foundation upon which I built my new life. Slowly, the anger began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of hope and determination. "Michael," Sarah said one day as we sat on a park bench enjoying the cool breeze, "you can't let Jennifer's actions define you. You're stronger than that." "I know," I told her, looking into her eyes, "and I have you to thank for helping me see that." Our bond grew stronger with each passing day, our connection deepening as we shared our thoughts, dreams, and fears. I found solace in her presence, comfort in her embrace. It was as if fate had brought us together at just the right moment, two broken souls finding solace in one another. "Sarah," I whispered one night as we lay under the stars, our fingers intertwined, "I love you." "Michael, I love you too," she confessed, her voice barely audible as she leaned in for a kiss. In that moment, I knew I was ready to move forward, to leave the pain of the past behind and embrace the future with open arms. Together, Sarah and I would write a new chapter in our lives, one filled with love, trust, and hope.